home runs and a run rule victory. And then on Saturday, things switched up just a little bit. A back-and-forth affair that ended with an Audrey Vandergriff walk-off single. And now the Tide will look to stay at the top of the SEC standings against a hungry Kentucky team craving a victory. You're watching college softball on the SEC Network. The temperature is down today, but the excitement is certainly up in Tuscaloosa as number 2 Alabama looks to complete the sweep against the visiting Kentucky Wildcats. And we welcome you to the booth here at Rhodes Stadium. Gray Robertson alongside the All-SEC catcher, Allie Shipman. And Allie, it's been an interesting couple games to start this series. 2 walk-offs, but very different styles.
Absolutely. Game 1 was all about the long ball for the Alabama Crimson Tide, but then Game 2, a lot quieter for both teams, kind of just pushing singles in, and then it was Audrey Vandergriff, both games, that kind of put the final point there.
Absolutely. Audrey Vandergriff is the common thread, and since moving down to the 6th spot, Allie, she's been absolutely fantastic.
She just seems so much more comfortable up in that 6th spot. She's taking confident cuts, and her average has boosted because of this. And when you talk to Coach Murphy about being in that 6th hole, he says that that's the 2nd spot in the lineup that leads off the most behind that leadoff position, and she's really bought into that and doing so well in that position.
And dabbing all over the place. She has enjoyed moving down in the order, relishing that opportunity, and the stats show the improvement these last 9 games.
Absolutely, and she is just confident in that role and understanding of what the team needs from her. She knows that this is what the position she has been put in and what is going to help her team be successful.
Well, on the other side, the Kentucky offense trying to put things together a little more. Allie Blum has been outstanding in the 2 spot, and really it was the last 2 innings of play in Game 2 where the offense started to sing as Sleeman takes the first pitch out towards right, and a nifty grab by Jenna Young fighting the wind for out number 1. And this is what the offense looks like for Rachel Lawson, and just like we mentioned briefly, Allie, they need to show what we saw in the last 2 innings of Game 2.
In the last 2 innings, they were just aggressive in the box. They were fouling off pitches, taking really big hacks, learning from each swing. And so that was the ticket to their success. And I think if they can keep that going, continue that aggressiveness in the box, continue that approach, this Kentucky team can really make a run.
Allie Blum at the plate. She's been the best hitter this weekend for the Wildcats, taking on a freshman in the circle for Alabama, Caitlin Palazzi, the Michigan native, making her first career SEC play start.
Caitlin Palazzi, another freshman phenom for this Alabama staff. She's going to work in her rise, drop, and her change. She's going to throw in the mid-60s. She's a lot heavier up in the zone, but she'll mix in that changeup as well. But she has been really a star. She threw a perfect game earlier in the season, really great spin. And I think if you're Patrick Murphy, this is a really good opportunity for a freshman pitcher to get good SEC experience.
Palazzi was called for an illegal pitch on that 1-0 to Blum. It was a ball anyway. Now back and ready, but 2-0 inside. 3-0 on the New Palestine, Indiana native, Allie Blum, who's been rock solid this weekend, 4 for 6 with an RBI and a double. A much chillier day in Tuscaloosa compared to games 1 and 2. High today is in the 60s. Wind is blowing hard in. See the flags right there. Always a new challenge. Easier play for Young, and the flip to first will secure the second out.
Really good bounce back there by Caitlin Palazzi. Got behind in the count and then used that low rise and then a couple of curveballs to get herself back into a good position.
Here's Peyton Plotz, junior out of Lexington, Kentucky. Had arguably the most impressive at-bat of Game 2 for the Wildcats. had that 2 RBI single after fouling off a bunch of pitches from Jocelyn Brisky.
And what she did well was she learned from every swing that she took. She almost fouled off every single pitch in Jocelyn Brisky's arsenal until she finally got one that she could handle, not trying to do too much, just trying to put it in play for her team.
In the air towards right. In foul ground, it's Roman. And a 3-up, 3-down frame for Palazzi. Tied bats coming up for the first time on the other side. Scoreless in Tuscaloosa. He will turn to a junior transfer out of Eastern Illinois. Last year's OVC Pitcher of the Year in the circle, Mackenzie Oslanzi.
Mackenzie Oslanzi, she's going to throw a lot of drop balls, which is going to induce about a 50% ground ball rate. She'll mix in her curve and her rise, but it's that changeup that she's going to use when she's ahead. And when talking to Coach Rachel Lawson, she says that she just has that winner's mindset, which is super important when you get that start in the circle.
Made a brief cameo in game 2, went a third of an inning, walked one, and got a ground out. And now facing the Alabama lineup that looks like this. Marley Giles in the 4th spot. She has been steady as ever in the last 8 games, hitting .520 for Patrick Murphy.
And Marley Giles made a couple of changes this year going into this season, worked on those changeups more, worked on keeping her hands inside. And Coach Murphy said that it's almost like she just decided this was going to be her best year yet.
We'll see her in the 4-hole. It's Alabama's leadoff. Alexis Papillo foul tips that one into the glove. Senior out of Crystal Lake, Illinois. 1 for 7 in the series, but that one was massive. A 2-run homer in game 2.
Papillo has such a unique stance and swing. She's going to toe that line when she gets into the box. She's always hunting something up and away, but she also has the ability to handle inside pitches, handle those changeups. And I think it really just goes to show how quick her hands are, how efficient she is through the zone, that she can be that close to the plate and yet still handle an assortment of pitches thrown to her.
A hitter's count, and she'll take ball 4. So a leadoff walk, and Alabama has a base runner in the 1st inning.
And I think that's a really good take there. And if you were watching the game yesterday, that's a pitch that was getting called for a strike a lot for Kentucky, that low and away drop ball. And so a part of the game that is very rarely talked about is the umpire strike zone and how that can differ umpire to umpire, and how part of your job as a hitter is to learn that as the game goes.
Wells to right, that's a fair ball. Papillo will round second and head for third, and Murphy will send her home. Brooke Wells with an RBI double, and Alabama strikes quickly here in the 1st.
Brooke Wells striking first. She's going to get this drop ball on the inner half. Stays so inside this ball. She's going to inside out it hard down the line. Alexis Papillo picking up Patrick Murphy the second she rounds, and he is sending her all the way for an RBI double for Brooke Wells.
52 RBIs on the year for Wells. That's her 9th double. And immediately Rachel Lawson came out to have a word with Oslanzi in the infield. We'll talk about it more. This is a massive game for Kentucky as they try and battle for an NCAA tournament postseason spot. Have to be above 500, currently sitting at 25 and 24 overall.
And they have just had the gauntlet of an SEC schedule. You know, the SEC schedules rotate every year, and it really seems like when you're looking at Kentucky's, this is about as hard as it gets for a team in the SEC.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday with Haley McClinney, our colleague at Wildcats. And this is exactly what we were talking about. You open at Auburn, and then number 7, number 11, number 13, number 1, number 9, number 2, and they close with a weekend at home against number 5, Texas.
And they're no stranger to big stadiums and big moments. They played away at OU, now here at Alabama. And talking to Coach Lawson, she says this is phenomenal experience for them. They have a really young team, so being able to get this experience, feel those feelings in these big time moments with the crowds is really invaluable for them.
Taylor swings and misses, 2 and 2. That's over to second. Blum will throw to first. 1 down.
Really good job there by Oslonzi, bouncing back after that double by Brooke Wells. She's going to go up in the zone with that rise ball. Up and in on the hands and jams her up.
Now the hitter we highlighted, Marley Giles, a senior from Clanton, Alabama. Not an official captain on this team, although Patrick Murphy has said she is the leader, and she is leading the way here this weekend, hitting .500 in the series, 3 RBIs, a 2-run homer in game 1. And she got hit.
And I think what's really special about Marley Giles is she's in that leadership position as we take a look here. You see where this one clipped her right on the elbow. Ouch.
No Evo
no
shield.
Evo shield. And she took it like a champ. Going back to what I was saying, though, she's the senior leader and also the senior catcher, which is such a special position. You know, as the catcher, your infield, your outfield, your pitcher, everybody's looking at you every single play, whether you like it or not. And so being able to be that captain figure, that senior leader behind the dish is really important.
Well, the hit by pitch to Giles puts 2 on for the reigning SEC Player of the Week, Jenna Young. And she sneaks it through the right side. Wells will stop at third. Bama's got him loaded with 1 out here in the first.
And Jenna Young continues to swing a hot bat. She's going to pick that leg up, get that back leg in cue, and then she's going to stay long through this ball. She's not hitting it perfectly, but she perfectly places that ball. Really good piece of hitting there by Jenna Young.
What a chance for the Tide. Bases loaded for the hero yesterday, Audrey Vandegrift.
And we highlighted her earlier. Since being moved down to that 6th spot, she has just been absolutely on fire. Seems like she just has more confidence, is more controlled in her swings. She's taking committed cuts. Looks a lot more like herself.
It was a bases loaded situation with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th in game 2. Had that infield RBI single. Striped out to right, and it is a foul ball.
This is a great swing here by Audrey Vandegrift, and just barely foul. A little bit around it on that swing, but misses a grand slam by inches.
Souvenir for the kids in the Brickyard, and a strike for Oslonzi. And now a 2-2 count. Hitting .429 on the year with the bases loaded, including that hit in game 2.
I think as a hitter, sometimes when you come up in those bases loaded situations, you can let that situation get too big, feel that pressure, but you can almost reframe this. What a great opportunity it is. Regardless of the outcome, you get that experience, you get to be in that high pressure situation.
Oslanzi gets the K. Big time from the junior for out number 2.
This is a beautiful, beautiful drop ball by Oslanzi. She's going to go down in the zone and expand. Look at how low this pitch is. Look at the spin. She gets Audrey Vandegrift to chase, and that's a big strikeout for Kentucky.
Slow roller to third. Sleeman in time. How about Kentucky? Bama gets a run, but the Wildcats get out of a jam, and we go to the second. Tied up, 1-0. Well, as we talked about, game 2 had the dramatics, Allie Shipman, and it was the 7th inning where things kind of went off the rails.
Yeah, we had a catch, no catch situation in the outfield. This was originally called a catch on the field, so an out, but then they reviewed it. It became a no catch. They moved the runners forward 1 base, and then Audrey Vandegrift walks it off 1 batter later. But a really interesting situation, which had us all thinking about the reviews with that catch, no catch. Where do you put the runners? You know, what other situations could come out from that? And, you know, it was a very weird 7th inning, to put it lightly.
Yeah, absolutely. We always have the physical rule book with us. First time we've needed it this weekend as we take a look at the series recap. Again, game 1, Alabama, a 9-0 run rule win. 8 of those runs came via the home run. Game 2, it was looking like Alabama was in control, even though the first runs came in the 5th on a Papillo home run. Kentucky showed fantastic fight, grabbing a 4-2 lead, but a 3 spot by the Tide in the 7th walked it off. And now game 3, Kentucky looking to snap a 19-game SEC play losing streak. 4, 5, 6, Hammond, Hamilton, and Clark due up.
And you have to give credit to Sarah Hendigas, who threw yesterday in the circle for Kentucky. She threw phenomenally, mixed in that changeup really well, painted corners really well. And so it's things like that, that if you're this Kentucky team, you look at that positive from yesterday's game. You go, okay, she looked really, really good in the circle. Those last 2 innings offensively looked really, really good for them. And so those are things you can build off of.
Would not be surprised if we see Hendigas at some point today. She's, as you just saw, warming up in the bullpen. Abby Hammond trying to figure out Palazzi, but 2-2. The wind will certainly push that foul. As a hitter, Allie, was there anything that you did to adjust your game to the different types of wind that you might see?
So if I knew that the wind was blowing directly in, my game plan was more line drive, low line drive. I knew that if I put something up in the air, the odds of it carrying out of the park are low, so I wanted to shoot for doubles in the gap. And then also, if the wind was blowing out, in my mind, I don't want to try for the big swing, because when I did that, things got a little out of hand. We know I like to swing at the first pitches. So I tried to stick to my doubles in the gap game plan, but I was a little bit more willing to get underneath the ball, you know, stay in my back leg, hinge a little bit more.
I gotta wonder if maybe the wind helped out the Wildcats a little bit on that swing by Vandegrift that went just foul.
Absolutely. You know, it's kind of tailing out towards right field as well.
Payoff to Hammond again. This is in the air to left, but the wind puts up a wall and Johnson makes the grab.
This is another well-hit ball by Hammond. But again, I think it's that wind that's keeping it in. This is a ball in the inner half. She stays inside the ball, maybe a little bit jammed up, but still a well-struck ball by Hammond, just basically right at Lauren Johnson in left field. I think another interesting facet about the wind and other factors that happen, you know, with weather is pitch calling. Now that you know the ball may not be flying, you could probably go a little bit more up in the zone with your pitch call. think more rise balls, knowing that the ball's not going to carry off the bat as far.
Well, Palazzi has thrown a good amount of rise here this year. She went low in the zone that time to Carissa Hamilton, senior out of Flat Rock, Indiana. Did not go. 3-1.
Hamilton has been so good for Kentucky this year. 44 RBIs on the season, 11 doubles, 9 home runs.
And another well-struck ball out to left. But again, I think the wind kept that in the yard and actually brought it a little closer for Johnson to catch it for out number 2. So a couple great swings have stayed in the yard. This one definitely left the yard for Maddie Clark in game 2.
Maddie Clark takes this drop ball on the outer half, stays in her back legs, drives it, and this is only her 2nd home run of the season.
That's a fair ball down the third base line. Clark kept it on the ground, and the play at second is close. She's safe. 2-out double for the Wildcats.
Maddie Clark continues to swing a hot bat. She's going to get this pitch up and in, stays flat through the zone, and just hits it so hard down the line. She knows that this ball is really close to the line, so she is taking second all the way. A good slide there for a double.
So just like that, the tying run is in scoring position after the double by Maddie Clark, her 7th this year. Reagan Oni at the plate.
I think if you take away the wind, this inning looks a lot different for Kentucky. But what I'm seeing is they took those last 2 innings from yesterday's game, and it seems like they're continuing that game plan into today's game. Very aggressive in their approach, taking committed quality hacks up there. This is probably exactly what Rachel Lawson wants to see from her team.
Marley Giles will go have a word with Palazzi. Yeah, we saw Kentucky go hitless with runners in scoring position in game 1. Didn't get a ton of chances in game 2 up until the very end, when we saw Blum and Peyton Plotz and kind of 1 through 9 really start to put it together. And as we mentioned, that's what Rachel Lawson wants to see. 19th season leading the way in Lexington.
And she said earlier in the season, she felt like her team was being too careful, putting too much pressure on themselves. So one of the big adjustments that they've been trying to make is to play a little freer.
Tough play for Hawkins. The recovery won't be in time, and Kentucky has them on the corners with 2 outs.
This is another well-struck ball by Oni. You see here, Hawkins has to take a few steps to her right, but she doesn't charge this ball enough. When you stay back on balls like that, they have that opportunity to take that in-between hop that you see right there. When you're fielding those ground balls, when you charge, you get to dictate whether you get the short hop or the long hop right there. Just got stuck in between.
It is an E6, so for Hawkins, just her 5th error of the year. And a little pressure now on the freshman Palazzi with a couple batters on, and the 8-hitter Ella Immer about to step in.
And now you're in a 1st and 3rd situation as well, which defensively can be really difficult. You have a few different options. You can go to 3rd base. You can run, you know, a shortstop cutoff, 2nd base cutoff. But it puts a little bit more pressure on your defense, and it's going to change your pitch calling as well. You've got to be a little bit closer to the zone so that your catcher can make plays.
If you're Kentucky, are you trying anything here? Trying maybe a double steal? Trying something on the base paths?
I think if it was less than 2 outs, I'd say yes. Maybe a pickle situation. See if you can get that runner to get into a pickle at 2nd base. Give your runner at third enough time to score.
Emmert did have a hit in game 2, but now down 0-2 in the count.
Really good stop there by Marley Giles. Pushing off that right leg, blocking, moving to her left, especially with the runner on third.
Popped up. Who wants it? It'll have to be Palazzi, and she makes the grab to end a shaky inning. Kentucky leaves 2 on. We go to the bottom of the second. Alabama up 1. What a wonderful weekend around the conference so far. Arkansas and Oklahoma playing a rubber match right now after the Razorbacks picked up a 3-2 win in Norman last night. Ella Harrison, a complete game shutout over the Florida Gators, helping the Auburn Tigers even up that series. They'll wrap up game 3 a little bit later on today, underway there in Gainesville. And Georgia earlier this morning evened up the series with number 5 Texas, a 4-2 victory for Tony Baldwin's club. And that Oklahoma loss last night has switched things up. Alabama and Oklahoma tied up atop Texas A&M right there, and the Aggies are currently in a battle with Mississippi State, tied at 6 in the second inning. Florida not far behind as well.
And I feel like Texas A&M has kind of just slowly but surely made their climb, nearing the top. But the SEC is always so competitive, and now we're getting down the stretch, and you really are neck and neck between a lot of different teams at the top. OU, Alabama, A&M still in the race. We're going to have a lot of key games here coming up at the end of season.
You see Salyn Hawkins, the junior out of Phoenix, Arizona. We should note as well, again, Alabama and Oklahoma currently tied in the standings. Oklahoma leads Arkansas 7-0 after 2. So it looks like the Sooners are on their way to winning that series. Alabama needs to complete the sweep to keep pace.
And that just goes to show how competitive this league is. In order to keep pace, you have to sweep, right? And that is so difficult to do. To beat somebody 3 times in a row is so hard. The hitters have to go through and see your pitchers multiple times.
Well, and that is a change from the last few years, because oftentimes, pretty much since 2019, it's been 6, 7, even 8 conference losses that's won the regular season title. This year, it feels like 5 is almost too many.
You know, and I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day. I felt like when I played, the goal was win the series, win the series, win the series. Now, if you had a sweep, that was awesome. But now it almost feels like in order to win the SEC, you have to sweep. Sweeps are becoming more of the norm of the way to win, and it just goes to show, once again, the competition in the SEC is just outstanding.
Hawkins chases. Oslanzi is starting to get into a rhythm.
I love this drop ball by Oslanzi. It's got such sharp downward movement, and I love that she expands the zone with it. This ball basically one-hops Emmert back there behind the dish, but because the spin is so tight out of the hand, it looks like it's going to be a good pitch to hit and results in a swing and miss.
And Oslanzi starting to get ahead as well. 0-1 on the junior Lauren Johnson, Franklin, Tennessee native. Got the start in game 2, was 1 for 3.
Lauren Johnson has been very steady for Alabama defensively and left field as well. Always seems to be laying out, making diving catches. And the defense yesterday all the way around was really spectacular.
Well, and today she's been tested. She's had the wind to help her, but it's not always easy to make that read either.
Especially with how high some of these balls are. The wind can really
Oslonzi will make the flip to first, 2 away.
And yeah, the wind can really take a ball a long ways. That's really difficult for an outfielder to continue to track down a ball with the wind. Sometimes you're traveling way further than you originally think you would have.
Sun is coming out a little bit more here in Tuscaloosa as Alexis Papillo steps in. Walking a run in the first for the senior. And we've seen Alexis Papillo really up her game as a senior, a player who really has designs of playing softball after her collegiate career comes to an end.
Absolutely, and she has just been really dialed into her goals. They said in the weight room in the fall, she was benching over 200 pounds, squatting over 400 pounds. And talking to Ryan Iamurray for the Alabama Crimson Tide, she said that she's one of the most professional players that they've ever had at Alabama. She goes in, day out, has a routine. She's always thinking about her hitting process, thinking about her plans and how she can get better.
And a film fiend as well.
Oh yeah, she loves to dive into the film, watching opposite pitchers, but also watching herself, seeing how she can continue to adjust from game to game.
Oslonzi looking for a clean inning. 2-2 to Papillo. Foul again.
Papillo doing a really good job of fouling these pitches off. You saw the changeup before and then the drop ball, and out of the hand because of the spin, they're going to look very similar, but they're going to be a couple miles per hour different. And so for Papillo to make those adjustments and to keep battling is really key.
Payoff. Ball 4. Heck of a walk from Papillo, and she's done that twice today. Base runner for Alabama with 2 outs.
And that's exactly what Ryan Iamurray was talking about, a professional hitter. She does such a good job of waiting for her pitch, but also getting rid of pitches that she doesn't want with 2 strikes, which is so difficult.
It's been an issue for Kentucky pitching, the free passes. Last time Papillo walked, she came around to score on a Brooke Wells RBI double. Now Oslonzi faces Wells for a second time. In the air towards right. Wells off the fence. Papillo will race for home. It's happened again. Deja vu in the second. 2-0 Alabama on a Brooke Wells RBI double.
Brooke Wells stays in her legs so well. This is another drop ball that she's gonna stay inside on. Look at the extension. She's gonna go opposite field this time for another RBI double, but instead of this being a low line drive, this is a shot right off the wall.
Slightly different on the trajectory, but the same result. Papillo scores Wells on second. 2-0 Alabama, and Ambry Taylor takes the first pitch high.
And that's where those free passes can really get you into trouble. You know, you give up that walk, and then that hit afterward hurts even more, where before, you know, walk, hit, whatever it is, maybe you keep somebody off base and then it's just a stand-up double, but the free passes can really hurt you.
And another free base given up to Wells. So that one got away from Emmert. Now comes Rachel Lawson to have a word with Oslanzi and the entire infield. It's tough for Mackenzie Oslanzi because she's been, for the most part, pretty strong so far today, just has had trouble getting out Papillo and Wells, and that's been the damage for the Alabama offense.
It really has just been those top two hitters in the lineup, but those hitters are just so strong. And what's really difficult is, you know, we talked about this yesterday, if you pitch around one, you have to deal with the other. And they've done a really good job of executing that. Brooke Wells sees her teammate get on base before her, and her job is to score her, and it's almost automatic today. She just does that.
Now Wells at third, 2-0 to Taylor. Fouls that back.
Having multiple hitters in your lineup, like Brooke Wells, like Alexis Papillo, I think it's really fun because they protect each other. You almost get better pitches because you're not the only one circled in the lineup. You have other people behind you, ahead of you, and so it's draining on a pitcher to have to face a lineup that's so deep through and through because you have to be on every single pitch.
And on deck you have Giles, who entering this game at the best batting average in the series for Alabama. There's ball 4 to Taylor, and they're on the corners for the senior. And as we talked about, this has been a career year for the senior out of Clanton, Alabama, hitting .418 in 2026. Dealt with injuries the first 3 years off and on of her collegiate career, but this season has really made big strides at the plate.
You know, and just watching her from the outside, it just seems like she has a calmer presence about her. She's more settled, more confident in her swings. Even her takes, she just looks a lot more relaxed when she plays ball.
Was hit by a pitch in the first. Giles off the glove of Oslanzi. Wells will score, and Alabama's up 3.
Marley Giles is going to get this pitch on the outer half, just kind of sticks her barrel out there at it. But Oslanzi's already on the other side of the mound, has to reach across her body with her glove. A really tough play for her to make, and just unfortunate placement. It tips off her glove and goes right where the shortstop is not.
Yeah, Clark would have had a chance if that goes through the middle untouched. All this production coming with 2 outs for Alabama. Single for Young, the Iowa transfer, back in the first.
And Patrick Murphy, talking to him earlier this week, said that Jenny Young has been the unsung hero for him this season. Has just gotten progressively better, has gone to work with Coach Adam Arbor, continues to try to perfect her craft, and is willing to make a couple changes. We talked about it yesterday, changes in her stride that have allowed her to be successful.
Yeah, was out of a lineup for a couple weeks for Alabama, but has reemerged, really had a big weekend against Texas. This is over to short. Nice backhand by Clark. And the out is secured at second base. Alabama adds 2 runs, both coming with 2 outs, and it's 3-0 going to the third. Alabama leads Kentucky 3-0 as we go to the top of the third. A game Kentucky needs, currently sitting at 25 and 24 overall. RPI is just inside the top 50. Good strength of schedule. They have a big win against Stanford in the RPI top 25 matchup metric, but the big thing, and Kentucky will have opportunities to get quality wins down the stretch today, certainly. They play Texas next week. They play Louisville in the midweek. But the biggest thing, as Donaldson pops this foul, is getting to 500 or better. And with this game today, with the Texas series looming, with the Louisville midweek, with the SEC tournament, Wildcats are running out of time. They've got to pick up some wins down the stretch if they want to even be considered for the NCAA tournament field.
Absolutely, and I think it starts in the circle for them, and they've had some injuries with their pitching staff, which has put them in some interesting situations. They've had to make defensive shifts, offensive shifts, and now you're kind of seeing their pitching staff come together a little bit more. The offense is starting to heat up a little bit more as well. So if you're Kentucky, this is the right time of year to start putting it all together.
Yeah, 16 straight trips to the tournament for Rachel Lawson. And the Wildcats, you would think, need to find some type of response here in the third. It's Donaldson and then the top of the order due up. So far, so good for Caitlin Palazzi in her first career SEC start. But Donaldson is going to lead off the third with a base hit. The 9-hitter starts something for the Wildcats as they look to claw back.
Donaldson not trying to do too much. This is a curveball on the inner half. She's jammed on this ball, but she is so strong. She's going to continue taking a hard cut and bloops this one in for a single up the middle.
Here's Carly Sleeman, 0 for 1 today, and really a tough weekend for her overall. Hitless in the series. It certainly feels like if Kentucky wants to win this game, they'll need something from their home run leader.
Absolutely, and this is a good opportunity too. You've got the leadoff on with nobody out. You've got one of your best hitters up at the dish. If you're Rachel Lawson, this is one of those situations that you love to be in.
Change up, hit to deep third. The play at second is in time, and the throw to first got into the Kentucky dugout. So Sleeman will be allowed second.
And Sleeman is just out in front on this changeup. Ambry Taylor's going to take a few steps back. It's a good read by her, a good play over to second base, but then Jenny Young just releasing this one a little bit high, goes into the dugout, which allows Sleeman to take second base.
Second error today for Alabama, 6th of the year for Young.
Not exactly what you're looking for if you're Kentucky, but at the same time, it's 1 out and a runner in scoring position still.
Right down.
Yeah, nothing about the situation has really changed at all. And you've got Blum, who's been your hottest hitter this weekend, on the year hitting .342 with runners in scoring position. How important are moments like this for Palazzi with postseason looming for this Alabama team?
I think this is really important. I mean, you've got Jocelyn Brisky and Vic Moten, but it takes a staff to make a deep run in the postseason. There's a lot of games you have to play, a lot of batters you have to face, and so getting a freshman this big time experience will be crucial for them down the stretch.
This is what Alabama pitching has done this year. Top 3 in the country in ERA, shutouts, whip, opposing batting average.
And what they do really well also is they attack batters.
This is a tough play, but Palazzi is able to show off the PFP for out number 2.
What a play by Caitlin Palazzi, showing some athleticism as the pitcher. This is a changeup. It's going to jam her up. Look at her. She's going to take a back step like an outfielder, basket catch over her head. That's a really, really tough play, especially coming off the mound right after you finish throwing your pitch.
2 very different catches in the circle today for Palazzi.
The first one, it was almost nonchalant. That one, she had to be a little bit more chalant with it.
Just a little extra chalant on that one.
A little extra.
Well, she's worked ahead 0-2 on Plotz. That time the rise goes high.
Plotz is a hitter for Kentucky that is another one that you really need to start to step up if you're Rachel Lawson.
But she's caught looking. The changeup ends the frame, and the Wildcats strand a runner in scoring position.
Caitlin Palazzi's pulling the string on this changeup, a strike on the outer half. Alabama will look to put some more on the board when we come back.
Alabama up on Kentucky 3-0 as we journey on to the bottom of the 3rd. Gray Robertson and Allie Shipman in the booth, and a new pitcher in the circle for the Wildcats after a couple innings from Mackenzie Oslanzi. It'll be the freshman Haley Nutter.
And Haley Nutter was their headliner early on in this season, suffered an injury and got out of a cast just a week ago. And now she's coming in to pitch in this game. She's going to throw in the mid to upper 60s. She's going to use her drop ball. That is her best pitch, her bread and butter. But then she'll also go to that rise ball to change eye levels, work in a changeup and a curveball. But it's really that drop ball that makes her special.
Saw her in game 1 when an inning and 2/3. Gave up a couple hits and 3 earned runs, with the biggest issue, 5 walks. She faces 6, 7, 8 in the tied order, starting off with Audrey Vandegrift. For one day for Vandegrift. Struck out in the first after missing a grand slam by maybe a couple feet down the right field line.
You know, and sometimes that's just how the game goes. You can put a good swing on a ball and just miss by a few inches. Sometimes you put on maybe your B swing instead of your A swing and you get a hit somewhere. There's a lot of, it's almost luck in this game.
Yeah, the stats don't care how hard you hit it, how well you hit it. You'll see great hitters hit their best ball right at a defender, and then sometimes it's the dribbler that's a single. You never know.
Absolutely, and when I played, I tried really hard not to look at any stats. I went off of quality at bats. That's how I judged my personal performance on a day. What did I have a quality at bat? Did I put good barrel on ball? Did I have a long at bat, productive at bat, move runners, things like that? Because the stats don't kind of give you the full picture as a hitter.
Is that a family thing? Was Maddie the same way? No stats ever?
I actually have never asked her that question. I should.
Madison Shipman, if you're watching, please text Allie.
Let me know.
Ball forward to Vandegrift. Speed on base for Alabama.
I will say that my dad is big on stats. So Coach Bill down at ULL, he'll tell you what I hit on April 13th of 2021 back in the day. My sister and I were like, oh, okay.
Well, somebody's got to track it.
Somebody has to.
See if Vandegrift takes off with Roman at the plate. No steal on the first pitch. Freshman Anna Roman out of Florida, 0 for 1 today with a ground out.
Anna Roman's a really fun hitter to watch, especially being a freshman. She has a very professional, mature approach. She walks a lot. She's very patient. And you see those home run numbers, 11 on the season. She's so strong. And I think part of that power increases because she's waiting for that perfect pitch.
It might come here on the 2-0 from Nutter. It was a strike, 2-1.
I think if you're Vandegrift, this is a good count and a good time to maybe push it for the steal. You've got a left-handed batter up. That's really hard as a catcher.
There she goes. Good call, partner. Vandegrift steals second with ease.
Just a good situation there as a runner to go, especially on a changeup. So she's going to read this, leave perfectly on time. That's just a really good softball IQ by Audrey Vandegrift.
Wind has really picked up ahead of this 2-2. Mother Nature proving to be a major character here in Game 3 of this series. Payoff. On the ground, stopped at first, and the race to the bag is won by Hamilton.
And this is good situational hitting by Anna Roman. Full count, have to put the ball in play, but as a lefty, knowing that you have a runner at second base, you want to put it on your pull side so you can at least move that runner, advance that runner. And what's really crucial is Audrey Vandegrift taking that extra base there, because that could have potentially been a double play opportunity if she was still at first base.
Time called by Emmert as we look at Salem Hawkins. Struck out earlier on a nasty drop ball by Oslanzi. Ella Emmert, the redshirt senior, chatting with the freshman Haley Nutter. Certainly the future of this Kentucky bullpen. Was the Week 1 SEC Freshman of the Week, has a couple no-hitters on the year. An Alliance All-Star last season, or I should say this past summer, leading into her freshman year of college. Jam job out to left, and that'll fall foul.
And Haley Nutter really has that star potential to her. She's got really great spin. Rachel Lawson said after getting out of the cast, she's been working on staying healthy, but her velocity's been a little bit lower, you know, as to be expected coming off of an injury. And so she's been working this past week to try to get that velo back up, try to get that spin sharp like she had in the beginning of the season.
Another foul ball by Hawkins. Nice kick save by Patrick Murphy.
It's always a bold move, coaches over there. I feel like I'd be getting out of the way. Look at this, reads the spin, gets it on the short hop.
I'm not sure a lot of people know that Patrick Murphy was actually an all-state tennis player in high school. And I don't know if soccer was in the arsenal growing up. Maybe.
You never know.
This is skied. The wind He's trying to take it out of play, but Sleeman is able to make the grab just in front of a dugout for out number 2.
This is a really tough play for Sleeman over at third base. She's got to find the fence. See how she reaches out with her right hand, finds where the fence is. But because of that wind factor that we were talking about earlier, she had to travel a lot further than she originally thought, but sticks with it and makes a really good catch.
Lauren Johnson snared by Nutter, and the freshman gets a clean inning. Runner left stranded at third, and we're off to the 4th. Alabama up 3. Alabama leads Kentucky 3-0 here in Game 3 of this series in Tuscaloosa. Gray Robertson and Allie Shipman up in the booth. Now joined by the head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats, Rachel Lawson. And Coach, we just saw the freshman Haley Nutter come in the last inning, put up a 0. She's dealt with injuries the last few months, but how impressive has she been in her debut season at the college level for you?
Oh, she's done awesome. You know, the first half of the season, she was great, threw a couple of no-hitters, really was, you know, it was like she is a veteran. You know, she's starting to work her way up now. You know, she gave up the leadoff walk, but the fact that she was able to strand her was a big deal.
And Coach, Kentucky's set to host the SEC tournament this year. What does this mean for you and your program?
Oh, well, it's awesome. We have an unbelievable facility. We've made a ton of upgrades as well, and it's an opportunity to show that off as well as all the awesome athletes in the SEC.
Absolutely, Coach. We can't wait, and thank you for the time.
All right, thank you.
That is Rachel Lawson, the head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats. And yes, Lexington is hosting the SEC tournament, the final, for now, on-campus SEC tournament before moving to Madison, Alabama in 2027 at Toyota Field. Going to be a phenomenal event at a neutral site. But you know what? It's going to be fun kind of soaking in the final on-campus one, at least for the foreseeable future in Lexington in a few weeks.
You know, I think it's really fun to be able to travel and go to the different SEC stadiums for the SEC tournament, but I do think it's such a great opportunity to go to a neutral site, kind of make it feel a little bit more professional in a sense, going to a neutral site where everybody kind of gets to come together, feels like a bigger special tournament. I think the facilities are going to be great. Really exciting stuff for the SEC.
Yeah, that'll be a really fun event starting in 2027. It's been discussed for years. Coaches and administrators voted. Madison, Alabama's the spot. And we saw Toyota Field kind of run a test case last year with the Rocket City Showcase. It went very well. Had a bunch of SEC teams up there who loved it, including Patrick Murphy.
You know, we talked to Patrick Murphy before yesterday's game about it, and he said it's also really special that there's a lot of SEC teams that are within driving distance. So it becomes an easier travel day for a lot of these teams.
That is a mile in the air, but foul.
And I think that travel piece is something that people forget about when you're playing this many games this often, having to travel all over. The less stress you can put on your team, the more fresh they're going to be when they go out to play.
Changeup hit to deep third. Taylor's throw is just in time to get Hammond.
Good communication here by Ambry Taylor. She's going to call off Salen Hawkins. She knows she's moving to her left. And then the sidearm throw here. Really good job just making it there in time.
Good stuff from the freshman over at the hot corner. It's been at that position the last few weeks. We talked about it. Taylor with the bat kind of forced her way into the lineup, and the question became, where is she playing in the field? Played at second for some of the Missouri series, but has really settled in at third base.
And she was really thrown into the fire playing third base versus Texas at home, but she's settled in, looks really solid in that position.
Foul ball by Carissa Hamilton. Hamilton, one of the victims of the wind here in this game. 0 for 1 with a fly out that I think on a regular day probably leaves the yard. This is high in the sky. Vandergriff is tracking, 2 down.
Another rise ball up in the zone for Caitlin Palazzi. Once again, a ball that probably off the bat felt like it was going to be hit a lot better and a lot deeper than it ended up going, but that wind continuing to be a factor.
Wind not a problem for Maddie Clark. She doubled down the third base line in the second. This time a chopper to short. There's Hawkins, inning over. 1, 2, 3 for Palazzi, and we journey on to the bottom of the fourth. Alabama still up 3. Coming with this man at the helm, Alabama head coach Patrick Murphy joining us as we go to the bottom of the fourth. And coaches, this alumni weekend wraps up as the 30th anniversary weekend wraps up. What are your main takeaways from what you've seen from the fan base, from the alums, and from your team?
Well, number one, I got to say thanks to everybody at Crimson Tide Productions who's putting this game on today. Aaron Hepp, Baby Drake, incredible things that they did in terms of video, promotional stuff. It's been unbelievable what they put out, and every one of them at CTP deserves a raise. Hopefully that'll happen at the end of this fiscal year. But Caitlin Palazzi's been the star of the game so far today. She's been terrific in the mound.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask, Coach. What are you seeing out of your freshman in her first SEC start?
I think she's starting to get on a roll. We needed that a little bit. This was the day that we needed help from the pitching staff. And Lance came to me and said, hey, I think Caitlin can do it. Let's give her a start. And we need to put some more runs up for her right now and get a little space between us and Kentucky, because I know they're not going to quit.
Absolutely, Coach. Thank you so much for the time.
Okay, thanks for being here, guys.
It's Alabama head coach Patrick Murphy. I'm sure the entire truck loved his comments. As we go to the bottom of the fourth, top of the order due up. Papillo, Wells, and Taylor against Haley Nutter. Papillo's walked twice and scored twice. This has been kind of the dilemma for Kentucky. The top two in the order. Papillo has walked both times up, and Wells has driven her in both times with a double.
And I think if you're Haley Nutter here, the big thing is just attack right at Alexis Papillo. Try to limit the free passes. You know that those have bitten you a little bit in the past. Try to throw through the zone a little bit more.
There's a strike, 2-1. I'll ask you the same question we asked Coach Murphy. Allie, as an alum of Alabama, how much have you enjoyed seeing so many teammates and folks that you know from the program?
You know, this is just really a special place to play ball, and you know what Coach Murphy has been able to build here. It truly is a family, and it's a family even when you graduate and beyond. And so we used to say that it's special when you get to become an alumni, because you gain an extra bunch of sisters that you didn't just have to play with. And so the alumni from whatever year they played with, it's a really big family. It's a sisterhood, and it's just so much fun to get to be back here and celebrate with the people you love.
I would recommend everyone check out our conversations with Haley McClinney and Montana Fouts as well from Game 2. Another walk for Papillo, and she'll hightail it to first. And this remains an issue. 17 walks given up by Kentucky. Alabama still with 0 in the series.
You know, and those free passes, they always seem to haunt you. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but when you get that runner on first, that free pass, your defense has to shift. Your pitch calling has to shift. And then knowing that Brooke Wells has made you pay in the past, now you might be a little tighter on the mound as well.
Well, we've seen this scenario twice. Papillo walked in the first, Wells drove her in with a double. Papillo walked in the second, Wells drove her in with a double. In the fourth, the first pitch is high and tight for ball 1.
And Brooke Wells has done those doubles both on drop balls. So now you're wondering, you know, as a pitch caller, are you going to look to go a little bit more up in the zone, knowing that the ball isn't flying out as much today, too?
Brooke Wells, a sophomore out of Round Rock, Texas, first year in Tuscaloosa after starting her career at Houston, was the Week 5 SEC Player of the Week. We talked about this throughout the weekend. Last year was a good year for Wells, but this season, just a different stratosphere.
Really phenomenal, especially those home run numbers, 19 on the season.
Caught at third, Sleeman back to first, and they say she's out. I think Patrick Murphy's going to challenge this one.
Alabama is challenging the play at first base. Call on the field is out. Play is under review.
This is an interesting play here. Sleeman, a jammed up line drive, but then she makes a really quick throw over to first base here. We'll take a look and see. I think she's safe.
That looks pretty clear to me. I thought real time she was back safely as well.
And especially with how long that throw is from third over to first. I feel like that's a rare double play opportunity. That's just a really long throw. But you're right, in real time, it did seem like she was safe.
Now we'll see if the video replay center in Birmingham at the SEC office agrees. Either way, it's a massive out for Haley Nutter to get Brooke Wells. First time she's been retired in this game.
After review, the call on the field has changed. The runner is safe. Alabama retains their two challenges.
As you mentioned, either way, this is a good play for Kentucky, but yeah, her hand just gets in there before the ball is in the mitt. I think that's the right move. She is safe. But regardless, Kentucky has retired Brooke Wells, which had been the problem in previous innings. So maybe not the double play, but if you're Kentucky, you take the win from that, you take the positive.
Now Ambry Taylor. First pitch is popped up. That'll get into the crowd. Ground out and a walk for the freshman. Haley Nutter trying to keep the Wildcats in this game. We saw in game 2, Sarah Hendigas keep Kentucky in it. Wildcats were able to grab a 4-2 lead going into the bottom of the 7th before Alabama walked it off. And this one kind of feels a little similarly. We saw Alabama score early, but Kentucky still hanging around here in the 4th inning.
Absolutely, and Alabama has such a potent offense, and so only 4 hits on the day, which shows that Kentucky's pitching staff is doing their job. Now it's kind of up to the Kentucky offense to see if they can make those adjustments as well.
Taylor chases upstairs. Nutter's first K of the day. 2 gone.
Nutter sets up this rise ball so well. She goes down in the zone before this with a drop ball and then just climbs the ladder with this rise ball. And you see Ambry Taylor's hands starting a little bit lower behind her shoulder. Makes it really tough to get on top of that rise.
Giles, first pitch foul. Good weekend for Giles. Good day so far. A hit by pitch and an RBI single.
I think what's really impressive about Marley Giles and her offensive stats is doing it while catching the majority of the games for Alabama.
High fly ball to left, but the wind is going to bring this back. Oni makes the grab. Side retired. Alabama can't take advantage of a leadoff walk, and we go to the 5th, tied up 3. Started early for Alabama in the first inning.
Absolutely. It was Brooke Wells. She drives in Alexis Papillo after a walk for a double. And then in the second inning, here comes Brooke Wells again with another RBI double to score Papillo. And then it was Marley Giles putting the ball in play. Perfect placement for another RBI.
And that's it so far. Kentucky has had chances with people on base and a lot at stake. Kentucky trying to get a first win over a top 2 team since 2018 and snap a 19-game SEC losing streak here this year. Alabama looking for a 3rd sweep this season and looking to keep pace with Oklahoma at the top of the SEC standings. Sooners just beat Arkansas 11-1, and plays like that'll help as Hawkins makes the grab for out number 1.
Salyn Hawkins continues to be a defensive highlight reel. This ball's going to have downward spin to it, and she sticks with it, going down on her knees to continue and make that grab.
Do you agree with Coach Murphy's assessment that Palazzi has gotten stronger as the game has gone on?
Absolutely. I think she's settled in. I think she's going at batters a little bit more. And I think her movement looks a little bit sharper as well.
It was a little nervy in the second inning, but since then, not a ton of action on the base pads for Kentucky. Ella Emmert, the 3-time captain, trying to start something. But Johnson is ready and left for out number 2.
Palazzi mixing in that changeup low and in, gets Emmert off of her front foot, just kind of throws her barrel down there and ends up being a fly ball to Johnson in left.
Donaldson looking for the gap, and she'll find it all the way to the wall. The 9-hitter for Kentucky is 2 for 2, and Donaldson will turn the lineup over.
This is a really, really good piece of hitting here by Donaldson. You're going to see her see this rise ball up in the zone, but she stays level with her shoulders, level with her barrel, and drives this ball into the gap. And she sets herself up to be into scoring position for Sleeman, who has been one of Kentucky's top hitters this year.
So an opportunity for the Wildcats. The question is, will they be facing Palazzi or a new pitcher? It will be a different pitcher. Strong outing for the freshman, but Jocelyn Brisky will come on in relief. We'll step aside for a moment during the change. Alabama up 3-0. Well, a solid outing for the freshman Caitlin Palazzi in her first career SEC start. 4 2/3, 3 hits, no walks, and a strikeout. But after the 2-out double to Emory Donaldson, Alabama will turn it over to the junior out of Phoenix, Arizona, Jocelyn Brisky, who's got both wins in the series so far, Allie.
Absolutely, and you know, Palazzi, really good stuff for the freshman, great experience, and Alabama's gonna turn to Brisky, who's kind of been their ace this season, and she is going to split the zone. This is what she does best. She works up and down. You're gonna see her here. She's gonna go to that rise ball with that backward spin, and then she's gonna mix it down with that drop ball. She's gonna work in an off speed as well, but what she does is she tunnels these pitches, so out of the hand, they look really, really similar until right at the moment you decide to swing.
Great opportunity for Kentucky, but Sleeman pops up the first pitch, and Wells makes the grab. That was an easy inning for Brisky. 1 pitch to get out number 3, and we go to the bottom of the 5th. 3-0 Alabama as we go to the bottom of the 5th, and we talked about it. Oklahoma now back up a half game at the top of the SEC standings after run-ruling Arkansas earlier today. Alabama looking to even up with the Sooners with a victory today. Texas A&M continues to linger just behind. Aggies lead Mississippi State right now 10-6 in the 6th. Florida in 4th, and you kind of think mathematically it's down to those 4. Here are the slates for Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Florida these last couple weekends.
And really nothing about these slates is easy. Alabama, Tennessee with South Carolina, OU, Georgia, Texas A&M. There's a lot of top 25 teams in here. And once again, it's kind of up for grabs with anybody.
A lot of power in the hands of South Carolina. At Alabama to close the regular season. They get Texas A&M at home next week.
This is the best time of year. This and postseason, you can start to feel the pressure start to rise. And when the pressure starts to rise, it feels like the play on the field gets better and better. So much fun to watch this time of year.
And all those teams trying to reach a milestone. Oklahoma won the league last year. A&M has never done it since joining the SEC. Alabama won in 2019, the regular season championship. Florida back in 2021. For a long time, it was just alternating between Alabama and Florida, and then we saw Arkansas and Tennessee get in the mix. Oklahoma last year in their first year in the conference winning it.
And being able to win the regular season, especially in the SEC, sets you up really, really well for, you know, where you're going to be put in the postseason as well.
Yeah, it's always interesting as Jenny Young draws the walk. The committee has never really taken the conference standings into play when putting together the seed lines. We've seen them at times completely ignore it. However, in the SEC, if you're going to win the league, you probably have to pick up a lot of quality wins, which is why we see the top portion of the conference usually host a super.
Absolutely. You know, we've talked about this before, but the RPIs in the SEC are so strong. So in turn, if you win the SEC, you have to take down a bunch of those top RPI teams.
And this is exactly what we're talking about. That's 10 teams right there inside the top 18 of the RPI.
And that's just invaluable if you're a team looking to get far in the postseason, especially with seeding. Being able to face that many top 20 SEC RPI teams, so many opportunities to continue to climb.
Well, and all of those teams will be in the mix to potentially host a regional. Teams at the very top are certainly, I would say, locks to host a regional at least. But you want that super regional at home if you're a team like Arkansas, Texas, Alabama, Florida. Oklahoma as well, of course.
I think being able to host is a really, really big deal. Get your home field advantage, your own fans, the comfort level of playing at home.
It's been a nice crowd, beautiful weather all weekend. A little colder today. Two to Vandegrift. That's a fair ball. I thought it was maybe hit off of Vandegrift after she didn't sprint out of the box, but the out is recorded by Hamilton, 1 down.
Yeah, this ball seems to just miss her, and then it kind of just hugs the line all the way down. It's one of those as a first baseman that you can almost field it with your foot already on the bag. And out recorded for Haley Nutter.
Yeah, on second look, nothing really wonky. Now a first pitch strike on Roman, who's 0 for 2. Out comes Rachel Lawson.
You see the stat line up there for Haley Nutter, doing a really, really good job as she's come into this game. And as we mentioned before, she was the headliner for Kentucky, and so looking for her to come back from injury to start to get back to her normal velocity, feeling like herself. And this is a game that can really set her up for success down the road.
Yeah, the walk's still a little bit of an issue today, but much better in relief compared to game 1. Future very bright for the freshman in the circle. Facing a freshman at the plate. Clark at short. What a stop. There's out number 2, and Young will slide into third safely.
This is a really good backhand play here by Clark. She's going to have to move towards that 5-6 hole. Backhand on the run, plants off that back leg, makes a strong throw. Jenny Young, really good heads-up base running, waiting for that throw to be made before she takes off to third.
Another runner at third for Alabama in this game. Hawkins fouls that off. I think another shout out as well to Maddie Clark at short, who's played a really strong shortstop in this series.
She's looked phenomenal, a couple diving plays, just really solid, making both the exceptional plays and the everyday ones as well.
Got a top plays shout out on SEC Now last night from our friend Tori Vidalis. Peter Burns as well. Nutter trying to keep Kentucky within striking distance. Hawkins up the middle. Another run for the Tide as Salem Hawkins converts.
And Salem Hawkins is going to do a really good job of reading this changeup out of the hand. She stays in her legs, and she stays long with her extension. If your legs are fooled on a changeup, the ticket is keep your hands back and stay long through the ball, and that's exactly what she does for that RBI base hit.
Another 2-out RBI for Alabama, 3 of those in this game. Hawkins did her job, and in comes Kinley Pate to run it first. Lauren Johnson 0 for 2. Trying to turn the lineup over with Papillo waiting in the wings. Well struck to center field. But on the run is Donaldson to make the grab. Alabama adds another, and we go to the 6th inning. Kentucky looking to rally. After really struggling in that frame, like you talked about, partner. First 19 games, outscored 38-4 in SEC play in the 6th, but took the lead with 3 runs on Saturday. And now here on Sunday, 2-3-4 due up. Blum, Plotz, and Hammond against Brisky.
And we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but that 6th inning stat, you're wondering if because they've had injuries in the circle, if that's why that 6th inning gets tougher for them.
Hop over to Young, 1 down.
You know, with those injuries, you may not have the endurance that you would have had before. You know, everybody kind of just getting a little bit fatigued as it gets later into the innings. But yesterday, they did a phenomenal job of kind of reversing the story.
That's a big out to start the frame, getting Blum, who's 0 for 3 now. Plotz and Brisky had a heck of a battle in that 6th inning. It was a long at-bat that led to a Peyton Plotz 2 RBI single. 0 for 2 today.
And what Plotz did really well yesterday is she fouled off everything in Jocelyn Brisky's arsenal. She got rid of the rise, she got rid of the drop and the changeup. And so then she just waited for the one that was closer to her wheelhouse that she could handle.
This is in foul ground, and Hawkins makes the grab.
Salyn Hawkins continues to be really, really solid on defense, communicating with her third baseman and her left fielder. I think that's the key in situations like that, when you have a bunch of different positions converging, making sure that you're communicating and calling the ball.
Brisky looking for a clean 6th against Abby Hammond. Very talented freshman out of Lexington, Kentucky. Hit that long fly ball that was stopped by the wind in the 2nd. Ground ball out in the 4th. Back up the middle, and that'll sneak past Hawkins. Hammond reaches on the 2-out single, and the Wildcats are trying to start a rally here in the 6th.
Hammond doing a really good job of handling this drop ball that's going to be inside. Gets just enough of this ball to poke it back up the middle, a couple steps away from Salyn Hawkins, but Salyn Hawkins was playing a little bit in towards the line there, which is going to limit her range moving to the left. Results in a base hit for Hammond.
And Kentucky's got a player who is more than due at the plate. Pinch runner at first, Katie Hershey, the freshman out of Indiana. And Carissa Hamilton hitless in the series, but a dangerous weapon in the 5 spot.
Yeah, you see those RBI numbers. She is a big run producer for this Kentucky offense. And when you're facing a pitcher like Jocelyn Brisky, I think the ticket is to pick a height, pick up or pick down, and try to be committed in that plan, because your swing path is so different for a rise ball versus a drop ball. And I think Brisky does a good job of getting people stuck in between.
High in the sky. Vandergriff will charge in, and that'll end the inning. The 2-out single does no damage, and Alabama will look for insurance on the other side.
So many different factors that go into the selection, and every game at this point counts. And it's not even just who you play and when you play them, it's who they play after you and how they do after they play you. And so there's a lot of factors in that that are almost out of your control, which is, I think, why Selection Sunday is so fun. You see a lot of surprises. You see some things that, of course, you're like, okay, we expected that one, but there are always surprises in Selection Sunday, and it's always a blast.
Well, they've added KPI to the discussion the last few years. DSR is on the team sheet this year. And the one thing as well that's always a bit of a mystery, sometimes the committee really, really leans into head-to-head. Sometimes it's kind of more of a tiebreaker. This year, Alabama's got the head-to-head series win over Arkansas and Texas. So how much does that factor in for the seeding? That'll be something to watch in a few weeks.
You know, and it's so interesting when you look at those matchups, because you may look at a team and go, okay, well, they beat them head-to-head, but RPI looks a little bit lower for them. And so there's so many different factors. You know, I'm not sure if I would want to be on that committee trying to make these decisions because the race is just so tight.
That means we're going to see a lot of movement over the next few weeks, certainly in conference tournaments when all these teams get a first or maybe fourth crack at a opponent and they may or may not have seen throughout the regular season. Home plate umpire Alex Leap checking in with Haley Nutter as we look back at something we discussed yesterday with Haley McClinney. Right now, you would think these are the 4 top candidates for the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Nebraska probably not too far out of this discussion, but again, it's all about what is valued by the committee. How much are they factoring in quality wins versus strength of schedule? A lot of things are on that team sheet that can help determine how these teams are ordered. Papillo using the strength out to right. She has reached 4 times, and that's her first hit here on this Sunday.
Papillo just using her strength, as you mentioned there. She got that rise ball up and in, and then it sets you up, if you're Alabama, for Brooke Wells, who has been the main RBI producer in this game. Led off with a double down the line to score Alexis Papillo, and then not long after that, she took basically the same pitch, got a little bit more underneath it, and drove it off the wall in right field for another RBI double.
And knowing the danger of Brooke Wells, Rachel Lawson will make a change in the circle. Sarah Hendiges will make her return in this series. We'll tell you about her on the other side. Alabama up 4-0. Big moment for Kentucky in this game, so Rachel Lawson turns to the pitcher who had a big performance in game 2, Sarah Hendiges.
And Sarah Hendiges was absolutely masterful yesterday. That changeup was working so well, but she also placed that drop ball on the corners perfectly. She had 5 strikeouts looking yesterday, and she'll look to continue that today.
The senior out of Upland, California, second year in Lexington after transferring in from Oregon State, has experience pitching in the Women's College World Series with the Beavers.
And she mixes in her rise, her drop, her curve, but when that changeup is on, that is when she is super successful. She keeps batters off balance, and she also moves that changeup through the zone for a strike. So as a hitter, you can't even take it. You have to find a way to put it in play.
In for Nutter, who pitched very well in relief. Hendiges facing Brooke Wells. Quite a day for the sophomore. 2 for 3 with those doubles we showed you right before going to break. Both of those drove in Papillo. On the infield, and the catch is made by Blum. 1 down.
This is exactly what you're looking to do if you're Sarah Hendiges. Enter the game and then sit down one of Alabama's best hitters. She's going to do a really good job of coming up in the zone with this rise ball, and she jams up Brooke Wells. A really, really good response in the circle for Sarah Hendiges.
Ambry Taylor to the moon, but foul.
And you'll notice a few of these swings from Brooke Wells and Ambry Taylor have been way out in front. And that's possibly due to because Nutter throws mid to the upper 60s, and Hendiges is a little bit more slower and spinny. And by slower, I mean it's still 62, 63. But compared to that higher velocity from Nutter, could take the Alabama offense a few to, respond to that velo.
What's the quickest adjustment you can make as a hitter to a change in velocity, even if it's slight?
Well, I think your timing mechanism as a hitter is when you get that heel down, when you get your front foot heel down. And so you try not to change your rhythm too much. You just adjust when you get that heel down. So if you're facing a pitcher that's not throwing as hard, start a little bit later.
Runner goes. The throw was pretty good, but Papillo slides in safely.
It's a really good throw there by Emmert behind the dish. One hops just a little bit late, but right on the money for the throw.
Papillo now 5 for 5 in stolen bases this year. Taylor goes after the change and comes up empty. Hindigus with the strikeout for out number 2.
That changeup for Hindigus continues to be nasty. Look at the spin on this pitch. It is beautiful and drops off the table. Not only is she out on her front foot, but she's going to miss on top as well due to the movement.
Right now, the move to Hindigus has certainly worked for Rachel Lawson. 1-1 on Giles, who's 1 for 2.
And you saw that last pitch there. That's that outside corner that Hindigus was continuing to get all day yesterday. And that's such a tough pitch to hit. If you're an Alabama hitter, that low and away, nicking the corner over there. If you're Sarah Hindigus, I think that's where you try to live for the rest of this game.
Didn't get the inner edge there to Giles. Now the 2-1, down straight back. And it was kind of this moment where we saw Hindigus really utilize the changeup on Saturday. She went to it a lot with 2 strikes.
And as a hitter, too, you have to have a different 2-strike approach, knowing that she's going to mix in the change. You have to be ready for the fast, but also ready to make that adjustment on the changeup if you need to. Some hitters like to shorten up. Some hitters like to go to a no stride or possibly, you know, a show bunt pull back method. Whatever you need to do to try to be on time for both.
That's ball 4. We did not see the change in those last 2 pitches. And Giles heads to first after the walk.
7 walks given up today by the Kentucky pitching staff. A few of them have turned into runs for the Alabama offense. 19 walks total for Kentucky this series versus Alabama's 0 given up. As Kentucky looks to continue throughout this season, I think that's a big point of emphasis. Try to limit those free passes.
Now comes Rachel Lawson after 2 quick pitches outside the zone to Jenna Young, who's 1 for 2 with a run scored.
And something that Hindigus did really well yesterday, too, was she attacked batters pretty well. I know that their walk rate is up, but Hindigus did a good job of going right at these hitters. And so this is probably the conversation Rachel Lawson is having with her right now, is continue to attack, throw through the zone, work on those corners like she did yesterday, and be effective with that changeup.
Speed on base for Alabama as the freshman Garrett Griggs comes in to pinch run at first. Papillo at second. 2-0 to Jenna Young. 3-0. And you certainly don't want to mess around, because if you walk Young, the game-ending run comes to the plate. And that player would be Audrey Vandegrift, who has hit walk-offs in the first 2 games of this series.
And one of them being with bases loaded.
That'll head foul. Full count.
I think if you're Hindigus, you go back to that changeup right here. Probably away a little bit lower in the zone.
On the ground to second. Blum is there. Side retired. We go to the 7th. Last chance for the Wildcats. They'll have 6, 7, 8 due up. Well, Alabama trying to cap off the 30th anniversary celebration weekend with a third sweep this year, up 4-0 on Kentucky. And as we go to the 7th, Wildcats will have 6, 7, 8 due up. Clark, Oni, and Emmert. And Alabama has won all 6 series so far, looking for the sweep here today. And what's to come? How about Saturday, Sunday, Monday in Knoxville next week, and then the finale here in Tuscaloosa against South Carolina to wrap up the regular season.
And I think that series versus Tennessee is just going to be so much fun to watch. Tennessee has one of the best pitching staffs in the nation, and then you face off with this Alabama Crimson Tide offense that is so potent. One of those that is a must-watch this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, the matchup to watch might be how the Tennessee offense does against these Alabama pitchers. Tennessee in conference play has been a little hit or miss offensively, but some good power up and down the lineup.
They've got the Leach twins on their roster, Ella Dodge, a lot of really good hitters. Then, of course, Carlin Pickens on the mound for them.
Great year for Sage Marjetko as well in the circle for the Lady Vols. No go for Clark.
We'll take a look here. Ooh. That one's close.
Now it's back under the glove of Brisky, and Young handles it for out number 1.
You know, and I'm sure those check swings are really hard to see in real time if you're an umpire. You know, it's easy from up here with the slow-mo to say that it's close, but I'm sure in real time those are tougher to see.
Alabama trying to get back all square with Oklahoma at the top of the SEC standings. A win would put both teams at 15-3. Both teams with 2 series to go. Kentucky trying to rally here in the 7th with Reagan Oni.
That is a nasty rise ball up in the zone, especially after just going down in the zone in the dirt, using effective velocity, speeding her up by going up in the zone.
Another 1-2. Oni stays alive. Troy transfer, the sophomore out of Mount Sterling, Kentucky. Part of a very young Wildcats team. And they will need a good finish down the stretch to make the NCAA tournament. RPI is still not as strong as they'd like it to be, but they've got to be 500 or better. Oni waited on the change. Vandergriff on the run, couldn't secure the grab. Oni stands on second, and Kentucky has a little something going in the 7th.
Oni bringing a little bit of life to this Kentucky offense, gets this changeup up in the zone and puts a perfectly on-time swing on it. Audrey Vandegrift, a really good angle at this ball, just not able to secure the catch. You see it here, kind of just hits her right on the hand. Really close play there by Audrey Vandegrift, but a great hit by Reagan Oni.
it looked like Vandegrift just took her eyes off her glove right at the last second. Didn't quite secure the grab. Now Alexa Riddell trying to keep this little bit of magic going. Another youngster on this Wildcat team, freshman out of St. Louis, Missouri. 0 for 1 in the series. And that was, by the way, an error charged to Vandegrift. So the third error of the day by an Alabama defense that is one of the best in the country in fielding percentage.
And I think to your point, when you take your eyes off of the ball for even that split second.
There's a K for Brisky, 2 down.
That's another beautiful pitch by Jocelyn Brisky going up in the zone. Look at the spin on this. True 12-6 spin, moving up through the zone. Beautiful rise ball.
Now Emery Donaldson, who has been really good today. First pitch to third, Taylor to first, and that'll do it. On Alumni Weekend, Alabama celebrates a sweep. A 4-0 win in Game 3, and the Tide has 3 sweeps here this year for the first time since 2021.
Alabama just doing a phenomenal job in the circle and on offense. Production from the top of their lineup today, but it was Jocelyn Brisky in the circle to close it out for them.
Alabama moves to 42-4 on the year, 15-3 in the SEC. And Kentucky drops to 500, 25-25 overall, 1-20 in the Southeastern Conference. A big day for Brooke Wells, and we'll chat with her after Alabama beats Kentucky 4-0 in Game 3 to get the sweep. More next as we wrap up from Tuscaloosa on the other side. And for Alabama, as they sweep Kentucky, wrap up the series with a 4-0 victory over the Wildcats, celebrating Alumni Weekend and the 30th anniversary celebration as well here in Tuscaloosa. Gray Robertson and Allie Shipman up in the booth. Pleased to be joined by Brooke Wells, the sophomore for the Crimson Tide, who, to paraphrase Morgan Wallen, was the problem today. Brooke, congratulations on a wonderful performance. Walk us through those first 2 at-bats. You see Papillo draw the walk, and then you're able to hit the double. Did it feel like deja vu when you were doing it?
Kind of a little bit. I mean, Lex going first to third, first to home on both of those was just awesome, and to get us on the board early, so it was great.
And going back-to-back in the lineup after a hitter like Alexis Papillo, what is the conversation like between you two up at the top of the lineup?
Oh, it's always just picking each other up, or today mainly was just scoring each other. She's always fighting, competitive, and it makes me fight more for her and get her in.
And this Alabama offense has really showcased the power this year. The home run numbers are up across the board. You've got 3 players with double-digit home runs. How much fun is it working with your teammates in the cages, getting ready for series like this, and really putting up impressive offensive numbers?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, we have such a blast all together. We have girls that can do it all over, and so it's just fun being able to put it all together in a game.
And as you enter the stretch of this SEC season, you look to face Tennessee this upcoming weekend. What are the thoughts after coming off of a big weekend like this?
Just going back to the drawing board, but starting with UAB first on Tuesday and focusing there first.
And last thing, Brooke, before we let you go, you're a sophomore, but this is your first year in Tuscaloosa. I'm sure you got to meet a lot of alums and people in town for the celebration this weekend for the first time. How much have you enjoyed not just being a part of this program, but getting to meet all of the players who came before you and wore that uniform?
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, Alabama here, it's truly family, and, they don't just preach it, we really are. And so it's great to see all the years before me, coming, and we're still one big family all together, so it's just great.
Well, fantastic work today and this weekend, Brooke. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
That is Brooke Wells as Alabama gets the sweep over Kentucky, capping it off with a 4-0 victory and sending all those fans home happy here in Tuscaloosa. For my partner, Allie Shipman, and our entire SEC Network crew, T-Wade and Mac back in the truck, and the whole gang, I'm Gray Robertson saying so long from Tuscaloosa, where, again, Alabama wins it 4-0 over Kentucky. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time, everybody.